Well, time to get ready for the game. Who are your 5 guys going into Ole Miss?
That'll be released tomorrow. But it's a good group. It's a deep group. I'm looking forward to those guys. And the one thing that they know, regardless of the 5 guys who roll out there for the first play, a lot of guys are going to play. So we have a lot of guys with an experience. We got to keep these guys fresh. So tomorrow I guess everybody will find out who will play in the first play.
Have you had to continue to preach that so guys don't get down if maybe they weren't picked to be the #1 guy?
No, I think the first thing they understood when we got here was we're going to be all about competition, so those kids understand it. They've been very, very good at responding to it. They understand what's expected of them, and it's really been a seamless process.
Traditionally, DB is one of the last places you rotate guys. People don't like to take their starters up field. How much do you expect to rotate back there, and how much sort of leave those guys out there?
I think it'll go a game-by-game basis. I think nowadays you see that more across the country with teams running these spread offenses, so they're going so fast trying to get 100 plays a game, and really, on defense to play 100 plays a game is a lot of plays. So you got to get those kids in there and give them a breather, so that they're able to stay fresh for the end of the game.
Seen Dante in and out of the lineup at practice. Will he be good to go? Everything full bore by Ole Miss?
Yeah, he'll be good to go. We're just getting him ready for the first game.
Who has performed well this camp?
Really, a lot of guys have really stepped up. We've had some young guys that stepped up. Some veteran leadership has taken place, but I've been really impressed with the group as a whole. When you come in with the new staff and you come in kind of with different schemes and things like that, it's a lot of pressure put on those guys, and they've responded to the challenge. I'm excited about where we are and looking forward to getting through these last couple of days of practice before we head to Atlanta.
Specifically, with Moxie, where do you see him at right now and the experience he gained last year going into this year?
I see Moxie as a kid who's really grown from the spring to now. He's a kid that really has stepped up here in the last couple weeks, and he's really grown from the spring to fall camp. So I'm encouraged by him. He's still a very young player. He's a true sophomore. So I'm excited about watching him this year and looking for him to make some plays for us.
What about Cleachon Page? Where do you see him at? I know he was getting a lot of time with the ones, with guys in and out of the lineup and stuff. How have you seen him perform?
Clee's really been another guy, who's really made a big jump from the spring to the fall. So he's right there with all those guys. I think they all understand their role. But he's been another guy, again, that's really improved from the spring to right now.
Coach Harsin, after the scrimmage, said that the last, the 4 or 5 days leading up to it, that he was really a guy that did step up. What specifically has he been able to do to kind of try to emerge as an option there?
I think just really show that he can go out and make plays on a consistent basis. Playing corner in this league, it's a lot of pressure, so you have to be able to perform in adverse situations. We've put him in some tough spots just to see how he responds, and he's really a guy who has a lot of confidence, who teammates believe in him, and they have confidence in him. So it's been really good to watch him grow the last couple weeks.
We saw Chancellor at some nickel in the scrimmage the other night. Is he going to float back and forth this year, or is there one spot that he fits better? Or?
Chancellor is another very young player. This will actually be his first year playing, but he's a kid who really knows his playbook. He studies a lot. And we feel like he's a guy who's versatile on this defense who can do a bunch of different things. So I'm excited about Chancellor, just like I am a lot of those guys, really, just to see him, go out and cut it loose. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, those kids going out there having fun and making plays. So he'll be a kid who will have a versatile role in this defense.
How many guys do you have that can play nickel?
6.
6? Who all is in that mix?
The top 6.
Brian Douglas is another guy that obviously last year, started for most of the year and then late in the season kind of lost his spot. He's a senior this year. How do you see his role and him fitting in on this defense?
Actually in our room, Brian's kind of one of the older guys who's kind of been through everything, and so the kids really respect what he has to say. I'm very proud of him for that. He's a kid, again, who will have a role on this defense. He's played a lot of football. He's had a lot of snaps. He knows what he needs to do. The kids respect him. So I'm very excited about him. I was kind of on him to take more of a leadership role, being a fifth-year senior who's kind of been through it all, and seen it all. So he's been a valuable piece to the secondary. He provides advice for those guys. He challenges them out on the field, so I've been happy with him.
Sorry to get a little more specific, but do you have any corners that will can roll over to nickel at all?
Yeah, really on this defense, it's corners and safeties can play there, and so we actually, really every guy in that room can really play it, and that's the one thing about us all being in the same meetings together. So, we looked at our fall camp. It was actually 7 different guys who played it. So, there's a lot of experience there. We've put those guys in situations to where if something happened and we needed to shuffle some things, we'd have that ability. So, I feel confident that spot will be just fine.
Where is Ole Miss going to challenge your secondary? What do they do offensively that you guys have to deal with?
You know, they have a great quarterback, great wide receivers. You know, their offense is very high powered. They're experienced. You know, they have the biggest O-line in the SEC. So I look at those guys to come out and really do their stuff. You know, they're going to play fast. They're going to play physical. Their wideouts are tall with good speed. So I expect them to challenge us down the field. And, you know, I'm excited about it.
For you know, a new group like this, go out there, you know, new coaching staff, all this, and have to deal with that kind of speed and that kind of pace of play. How big of a challenge is this for you guys defensively?
You know, definitely it's a challenge for us. I think, you know, there's no doubt about it. Those guys are ranked for a reason. They have a lot of experience coming back. I think for our players, you know, it's a chance they get to go play on that stage. And, you know, when you go play college football, you want to play in the biggest games against the biggest teams on the biggest stage. So it's a chance for us to open up against a very, very good Ole Miss team. And really see where we're at going into the first game. You know, we've been practicing against each other for a long time, and so next Thursday we'll cut it loose and see what happens.
There's been a couple of guys that we talked to the last couple of days saying they see this as a chance to kind of make a statement for the new era, the new coaching staff, new direction of the program. As a coaching staff, how do you look at this game and what you guys could possibly do by kind of announcing your presence, you know, down there in Atlanta?
You know, I think for us just coming in, you know, I look forward to just going out and watch the DBs perform and my guys. You know, I've been with them here since January, so to see the development in those guys over those few months, I'm really excited to just go out there as a staff and cut it loose and, you know, see what happens. You know, and why not play against a great team when you do it? So I'm excited about it.
This defensive staff's never coached a game together before. What kind of preparation do you have to do in terms of, you know, how are we going to communicate, how are we going to make adjustments, all of that kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes during a game? You
know, I think the one part about it is we're all experienced with each other. You know, we haven't coached a game together, but I played, you know, football with Coach Avalos for 3 years, so we had a lot of communication. Coach Yates was my DB coach. He was on the staff when Coach Avalos played. So I think we have a good feel for each other and how we see things and what we expect. And then, you know, obviously Coach Caldwell and the experience he brings to the table. You know, being with him last year at Arkansas State, I know how he coaches those guys up. So I think we'll be fine communication-wise. I really do. We've practiced a lot at it. We've worked on it through scrimmages and even in practice. You know, we've been working on it. So I think that'll be a pretty seamless process.
Doing something on the 6 former Boise State players on this coaching staff, and went back looking over the years, and from like 97 to 2001 there were 0. And all of you guys played during that time, and now there's 6 of you here coaching. What happened during that stretch that made all these guys want to become coaches at Boise State?
You know, number one, I think we had a great experience. You know, when I came here, I had a great group of coaches that really mentored me and was there for me. And, you know, looking back, you know, contributed to why I'm here. And so it was a great experience. Obviously we won a lot of games and championships. And so college was a cool deal at that time, playing on a winning team. And, you know, so really doing it in Boise, it's no better place to do it at your alma mater where, you know, you kind of grew as a man and did all those things. And I'm excited to do it with a bunch of guys I play with.
What does it bring to the program, you think, to have all these guys who have seen it from that side and now trying to make an imprint from the other side?
You know, I think the one thing is how much we believe in this place. You know, it obviously played a huge role. We all got our degrees from here. We all grew as men here. So I think when we take the field together, you have that bond, you know, where you're representing your university and you're going out, you know, for me and I know Coach Avalos and Coach Huff, we're going out coaching the position we played. So, you know, we're excited about it. I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it.
We're doing something on everybody talks about the old Boise State offense that, you know, and it kind of got lost the last couple of years. You played against it in practice. You coached a wide receiver, you know, as a GA on that side of the ball. What was the old Boise State offense to you? What did that mean?
The old Boise State offense was really quarterbacks who made a lot of plays. It was a whole lot of shifting and motioning, and really it was execution. You know, I think when we got here, we had a great group of coaches that had a good scheme, and so it was obviously the execution was a big thing. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to it being the same this year. You know, we have guys, Coach Sanford, being an alumni, played quarterback here, so I think those guys will be fine. You know, they'll go out and execute, and, you know, it'll be Boise State's offense.
When you went from playing against it in practice every day to coaching on that side of the ball, what did you learn about it that you didn't know before?
Really how fast they really go. You know, when you're out there on the field, it's just organized chaos. But when you're putting together a game plan and you're trying to coach your guys up during practice and you see some of the stuff that's going on, you know, you're really in amazement. So what I've learned is really coach my guys up after the plays are over, let them just get their mind right, go out and play, and then we'll discuss it in the meeting room.
We've asked a lot about DSG, you know, since he got here. Where's he fit in the mix, and has he been one of the guys that's been tried at you know, nickel some?
Actually, DSG opened up the spring at nickel, and he's a guy that we've moved around. He's played safety, and so again, he's a factor. You know, I think it's important, and those kids know. I think it's important for everyone to know. You know, depth chart is just a depth chart. Those kids will roll in, they'll play, They'll move around, play different positions. And at the end of the day, we're going to put the best players in the best position to make plays. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do on Thursday.
Throughout fall camp, the safeties has kind of been referred to as the quarterbacks of that secondary and responsible for making calls. How capable is DSG of handling that?
He's a kid. He's really grown, in that aspect. Coming from high school, his senior year, he played linebacker, so getting him back in the secondary, having to make the calls was an adjustment at first. But now, he understands that he's a kid who really studies. Like I've said before, he comes in. Usually if you open up the film room, you see a group of those guys in there watching tape. And so the thing I'm most pleased about is really the older guys helping the young guys, and it's really a collective effort. So, they'll come into my office with a question, but usually the older guys help put out the question. And so when we get in the meeting room, we're just grinding away on what we need to do.
I know he's been out a little bit, but for when you guys decided to move Corey Bell back to nickel to where he's at right now, is he where you guys wanted him to be, and are you going to get out of him what you hoped you would going into the season?
Yeah, we are. I'm very pleased with Corey. He's a kid who's, make no bones about it, he's the leader of this defense. He's played a lot of football, and so I'm very, very pleased with where he's at. He's a kid who really learns, and so, coming in the spring, he was trained a lot differently, but he's really responded, and so he has a high football IQ. He's very tough. He's very physical and competitive, so I love that kid. I'm excited to watch him play.
You feel like, getting back to Dylan real quick, too, if he is responsible for making the calls out there, I think it was Dante that said, it's important that they really trust the safety's call so they can play fast and have 100% confidence in them. Do you feel like the older guys have confidence in what he would do?
Yeah, I think the older guys have confidence, and I think the one thing about this secondary is while the safeties are the quarterback, there's a whole lot of talking going on during the play. So there's times where Dante actually makes calls. And so, it's not where it's just two guys making the calls. It's a collective effort, and for the most part, we have 4 or 5 DBs out on the field. So those guys are all talking, making sure they're on the same page, and they've done a good job at that. The one thing I tell them is as long as you're all on the same page, we'll be good. And so, they talk and they communicate a bunch. So I think he'll be fine.